If your fridge is full of holiday leftovers, I'm about to teach you how to turn them into time and money savers without your family getting bored of the same old meals. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this whole entire channel is about saving money on groceries. I went viral for my strawberries in a jar tip that ended up getting shared all around the world. But if you didn't know, the average family is throwing away 40 to 60% of the food that they're buying, and oftentimes that's produce, but it's also because we get tired of leftovers. We host Thanksgiving almost every single year and always have all of the leftovers at our house. Even though we send some home with family, we still have things at the house that we think we're going to eat for the next couple days, but it seemed like we would get bored of it really quickly. Now, we are putting this video out the Friday after Thanksgiving to hopefully encourage you to put some of these leftovers into different containers and into the freezer and to repurpose them. If you didn't know, things like turkey and ham should only stay in your refrigerator after cooking 3 to 4 days. So if you are watching this video past that, you might have already passed the safe point of saving your turkey and ham. I don't care if it's a turkey or a rotisserie chicken. I do not like cutting them when they're cold. So that's just something I've learned over the years. You can do it, but I rather do it while it's still warm. And I will divide the turkey, some into slices that I will put in the refrigerator that we will eat as leftover plates or sandwiches, which we love to have sandwiches on sourdough bread. But I will also put some of the slices and then some chopped up turkey into the freezer. You can use that leftover turkey any place that you would use chicken in a recipe, and to have protein that's already cooked and ready to go that you can just throw into a meal makes meal planning so easy. Most of the time when I am chopping up turkey, I am putting it in a glass container. I either have a smaller glass container that will hold 1 to 2 cups or a meal prep container that's a little bit bigger that will hold 3 to 4 cups. I'm finding most of the recipes that I make, I only need 1 to 2 cups to make things like chicken pot pie, which you can make turkey pot pie, or I have a chicken orzo recipe on the blog that you can switch out for turkey, and also things like these enchiladas. You might not think of putting turkey in enchiladas, but you totally can. And this recipe is also on the blog, but I like to flash freeze them on a tray so they're individual. So I'm able to then put them in a bag and we can pull out 1 or 2 for lunch whenever we need. And then that way this enchilada is all ready to go. And I do the same thing with breakfast burritos when I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The other thing that I make sure to save is that turkey carcass. You can either make turkey stock right away, or if you have room in your freezer, you can just put that away in the freezer and make stock later. But turkey stock is my absolute favorite. We also have that recipe on the blog. We'll list all of these recipes in the description, and make sure that you sign up for the newsletter because we send out helpful tips like this all of the time. Now, turkey stock I use in place of beef or chicken stock. I use it interchangeably in any recipes that I'm making, and I love to be able to put it in the freezer, or I pressure can it to make it shelf stable. And then having that extra stock on hand makes it really easy to make things like turkey and dumplings or turkey noodle soup. We don't normally make ham until Christmas time, but I know a lot of families have ham around Thanksgiving also. But whenever I have a ham, I always then chop up any extras. I find if I chop it up smaller, it doesn't dry out as quickly. And this one for sure, I love to put in 1 cup portions. And then I normally put those in snack size bags and inside a gallon size bag. And that way those can go into my freezer and they don't get lost in those little individual bags, but it is perfect to pull out for all sorts of things. And if you don't use plastic containers, that is totally fine. You can store these in glass, but I want to make sure that I'm teaching tips that help everybody save money on groceries. I normally make ham twice a year, and I make sure I use up any of the packages from the last holiday before the next holiday. So it's a great way to remind myself that I need to rotate things out of the freezer. But I can throw one of these packages into an egg dish. We make egg bites or egg casseroles or breakfast burritos, and then I can put them away and put them in the freezer, or it's just a quick and easy meal to make with having the protein already cooked. And then we also use this to make chef salads. So we can pull this out just about an hour before we are going to make this chef salad. And that way it will defrost enough. Or I put it just totally frozen right into the pan when I'm making something like fried rice. So that way I can use up some leftover rice. I already have cooked ham ready to go and add some leftover veggies. And we have some allergy-friendly teriyaki sauces that we can add to dishes like that. And we can throw together a meal super quick. And since we're talking about different kinds of meats that normally have leftovers, we're also going to mention roast right here. This is another one that I will normally shred up into 1 to 2 cup portions. And I find that that is perfect for us for our family size right now. But if your family size is bigger, you can put it away in bigger size portions. But most oftentimes, the first time the roast reappears on our menu is making French dips, which is Mike's favorite. But I found if there's any leftovers from the French dips, that I put the extra meat and the au jus sauce into minestrone soup, and it is so delicious. Now, in between those steps, you can put them back into the freezer. You don't have to have a roast, French dips, and minestrone soup all in the same week. You can spread those out many weeks. Again, this is another quick and easy thing after we've made a roast and I have a shredded meat that's all ready to go. I can put a fajita marinade on that and turn that into fajitas too. You can totally repurpose these meals that take a long time to cook into many other meals that are quick and easy. I have a secret when it comes to mashed potatoes that my kids have kind of caught on to over the years now that they're more grown and flown. But since they help me peel the potatoes and use our rice masher, which is kind of hard on me, I always make extra mashed potatoes because they are around to help. This is one that I make sure that I have extras of because we have a special holiday meal that we make that is part of our Swedish tradition that my grandpa called krebbakaker. My mom and my grandparents used to make this closer to New Year's Eve, and they would spend the entire day making it. But I have found that if I repurpose the mashed potatoes from Thanksgiving, it makes it a lot easier. So thinking about how I'm going to be using those mashed potatoes later is how I store them. For that special dish, I will put away a whole entire gallon-sized bag or a glass container that holds our lettuce in it normally into the freezer. But that's not how I will normally store mashed potatoes if I'm wanting to store it for meals. Putting the mashed potatoes in something like these super cubes that are 1 cup is a perfect size for us, and they just pop out really easily, and then we can reheat them with whatever we're having. I love being able to do this so we can easily add it to meals that I'm making. And I like being able to store it in the smaller containers like that. So it can either be a side dish or I could take all 4 of them out and add them to something like shepherd's pie. These 1/2 cup size super cubes are also really great for storing things if you're wanting to store a couple different sides for a person's meal and you want to be able to mix it up so you can individually store mashed potatoes and stuffing and be able to pull it out for another holiday meal if that's what you want. I also save stuffing to make a stuffed chicken breast, which is really great to have it seem like something totally different. I make my mom's broccoli casserole every year. We just shared that recipe here on YouTube recently, so you can make it for the holidays. But I also save whatever's left over, and then I can pull it out later, and we love to have it with steak. And don't forget, sweet potatoes don't have to be just for Thanksgiving. That is another thing that I will freeze into portions and pull out again later. Leftover rolls can definitely be frozen. You can just put them back in the original container or bag, or put them in a gallon-sized bag. And then I also make homemade rolls, which I will make extra of and not let them rise. I will just freeze them individually and then put them in a bag, and then I can pull them out for many months. Over the years, I've really tried to trim back the specialty ingredients that I buy only for one holiday, especially if I felt like it wasn't getting used up. Some of the things I've swapped out just to make it easier on our grocery budget, but I also still enjoy some specialty ingredients for this time of year. Normally I put buttermilk in my mashed potatoes, and that is something that you don't need the whole container of buttermilk for normally, depending on how much you're making. And so that is something that freezes really wonderfully, and you can add that to make buttermilk pancakes, or it's really good in making fried chicken too. Another specialty holiday thing for us is pine nuts, which the price of them seems like it has skyrocketed in the last couple of years, but it is still a special thing for us. So I have learned that if I store it in a glass jar with a metal lid, they will actually stay fresh for about 2 to 3 years, or you can also store them in the freezer. But I use these for my sourdough sausage stuffing, and then I can repurpose them later when we're making my hot bacon dressing spinach salad that we normally make around the holidays for Christmas. This also makes an appearance in my stuffed acorn squash. So I normally only buy them once every 2 years, and I've found ways to make sure that I'm using them up instead of them getting forgotten about for another year in my cabinet. I hope this gives you some ideas on how to repurpose some meals for the holidays so that you're not getting bored or wasting money. If you're new to our channel, we put out 3 new videos every single week to help you save money on groceries.